What's up, everybody? My name is Joe.
I'm Elias, together with the Red Bull Driftbrothers.
Yes, sir. And today we're going to talk about a very exciting topic.
The engine, the S58 engine. So Robbie from Track Day Performance, TDP.ie, was busy the past months, and we are really excited to see where we are at the moment, and we want to take you with on the ride and talk to him.
I've heard some numbers. Let's stop all the teasing. Let's get right to it. Let's go, Robbie. Mr. Thornton, are you there?
Hey, guys.
How
are you?
Very good, thank you.
I've heard some things, Robbie, and we're trying to confirm if those are really true.
I can neither confirm or deny any power figures at this time. No, we've had some good results. The S58 is a pretty awesome engine, I must say. Very happy because you're handed a totally brand new engine that nobody's really played with much before, and asked, can you do some pretty extreme things with it? It's a bit nerve-wracking, and there's a lot of considerations that have to be taken into account. So you want to know the number, the real number?
Yeah, let us hear the real number, and after that we look at the run, I would say.
Yeah, and also I just want to emphasize one thing: the pressure in the system now. There's nothing changed.
We have the stock engine.
Yes.
We changed a bit of geometry on the head.
Yes.
We changed the turbos.
And that's it.
No, wait. We also added port injection.
True.
So that's the three things we added. The rest is stock.
Complete stock engine.
And now here are the numbers.
Yeah, so pretty surprised. I saw the torque first because I saw it live in the run. I was kind of looking at the torque. And I was nervous because it was climbing and it was 1150 and then it was 1200 and then it was 1250 and I went 1275 and I was there going, the Conrad's still in the engine, and they were. So I was kind of there going, whew, that's all right, okay. And then it came back down to idle, and only when it came back down to idle, I checked all the temperatures and everything. I looked and I went, oh, that's a big number. There's 4 numbers in it. So on its first power run at 3.1 kPa, we got 1,049 horsepower out of the engine, which is pretty good. And there's some improvements to be made in that, even at that, because with that, we hadn't got the total cold air intakes to the turbochargers sorted or any of these things, because they haven't really been designed, because we don't have the car. And they will improve the situation because we were getting hotter air than we'd like into the turbos. So turbos weren't running at max efficiency. So we surpassed all our goals way quicker than I ever thought we would.
Yeah. And also, it's not just a number. Again,
1,049 horsepower.
49 horsepower.
And if I'm not mistaken, 1,285, 83 Newton meters.
Something like that, yeah. I just quoted 1275 because that's what I saw live. But yeah, it's pretty good. And we ran that, I don't know, we ran 10 runs over 1,000 horsepower. And then I took the spark plugs out of it and I bore scoped it again. And we've been doing that regularly. Everything looked good. And I just went, okay. So the Monday morning I said, we just run it again just to be sure. So new day and still strapped the dyno. And first hit it made over 1,000 horsepower again. So I just said, yeah, that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. We're starting to run on low on fuel. And guys, this is on 102 octane fuel. We're using an ELF fuel, which is the same as the Aral. Basically, it's the same as the Aral that is sold at the pumps in Germany.
Yeah,
we checked it out. We spoke to ELF. ELF confirmed that they buy this particular fuel from the same supplier that Aral do. They put a couple of additives in it for race cars, but they wouldn't contribute whatsoever to the horsepower. So they're just cleaning additives, color dyes, and stuff like that, and things to make it stay fresh in the can. But yeah, I'm really, really impressed. Like we made, with this cylinder head on it, nearly 900 horsepower on just Irish 95 RON pump fuel. So yeah,
it's an
awesome engine. I'm afraid to say that in time, the 2JZ for drifting will be a thing of the past with this engine, because the torque curve is incredible. first of all, we just started to see what we can do with the stock engine. Like how far can we push the completely stock setup? And I mean everything stock turbochargers, everything. The only thing the outside of the engine that was different was the engine management. Yeah, we've got some pretty impressive numbers, over 700 horsepower out of a stock motor.
Impressive for a stock motor. And
on street fuel, and you could probably put it in a car and take it out and drift straight away with it. But it wasn't enough. You guys set me some pretty high targets.
Even though the torque was already super high up, like 1100 Newton meters almost on the stock engine, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we doubled the factory torque, just about. Just about double the factory torque. We got 1150 Newton meters on the stock engine with the stock turbos because, I suppose one of the things obviously you have to remember is that we're not limited quite by the regulations of the standard car manufacturers with their Euro 6 and Euro 7 emissions and stuff. And this is a super, super good engine for these type of emissions. So when we de-restricted a small bit, it came alive quite well. Yeah, the torque was good, but probably not quite enough top-end horsepower for you guys. You're used to your big V8s with already just about 700 horsepower, so we couldn't really just say, here's a turbo car, it's the same as the old car. Get on with it. That wasn't fair. So, no, we wanted to go a lot further. So, yeah, we set a load of goals at the beginning, and from there we started looking at other things as well, because obviously we need a really flat torque curve. We want the torque to be really flat across the RPM range. So as you guys get on the drift on a big long corner like Riga or somewhere, that you don't have to be up and down with the throttle as the torque comes in and out. So you set the throttle, steer the car, less corrections, the judge give you higher marks. So that's one thing. We want the engine to be drivable, make your job easy inside the car, which is not easy at the speeds you're doing and the level of grip you have. So anything that helps like that. So once we realized we could get this nice wide torque curve, and the engine has dual Vanos on it, like most BMWs for the last quite a long time. But a lot of people in drifting struggle with Vanos. They struggle with controlling it with their engine management, and a lot of them remove it, and then they end up with an engine that's got really, really peaky, nasty torque curves and nasty horsepower. But we said, no, Vanos, brilliant, bring it on. That gives us really, control over the torque distribution on the engine. So it was good. But we started at the beginning looking at other things as well. Like one of the big things that most people know about drifting is the cars get hot very quickly. I've been all over Europe with you guys in some places that were so hot I didn't even want to get up off the ground, just lie there maybe. That's hard for the people, but it's hard for the engine to shed the heat as well. So Ellie and I set about at the beginning making sure that we just didn't build this really high horsepower engine that ran for 3 minutes and then give it cool down for 2 hours, like everybody else. You see a lot of people on the grid, they're pouring buckets of water over their engines nearly, or over their radiators. They're struggling. So we set about at the very beginning of the project working on the cooling. So we think we've achieved a pretty clever setup now. So we're going to have a front radiator and a rear radiator in this car, be able to dissipate the heat evenly. The BMW comes with some pretty awesome rad fans, probably the most powerful fans I've ever seen on any sort of production car. I certainly wouldn't stick my finger in them anyway. That was really helpful. But by the idea of having a front and a rear radiator is that when you're producing a huge power figure on a run, the run's 40 seconds long, but you've got 2 minutes in between your runs generally. And that 2 minutes is the time that these two radiators will dump the heat back out. So during the run, the big water system, the cooling system absorbs all this engine energy into the water, transfers some of it into the air straight away. But because we've got two radiators, we can just bring the coolant temperature for the start of the next run right back down to exactly where we want it, instead of starting off your second run as a disadvantage. Because one thing with turbo is the heat goes up, the power goes down. So we want it to be always starting, giving you the best, depending on your qualifying position, you may be leading first, you may be chasing. You need to have the car's full potential all the time. And that's one thing we focused on, was the cooling. And once we had that sorted, that really helped with some of the other aspects of the tuning as well.
To maybe just summarize what Robbie just said, it's very important that the engine is reliable, and that means that it stays in one piece. And the second thing is also that it has his power all the time, because it doesn't help us if we have a lot of power for 10 seconds and in the next run we have only half the power or whatever, and we can't drive with it. That's the cooling system, and we went on.
Also, power doesn't equal power. So it's not only about getting the peak numbers, it's a lot about the drivability of the engine. This is why the power and the torque curve are very important, are the highest or the most difficult thing to accomplish in a perfect way. And this is why Robbie's one of the best that ever done it, I guess. So.
Oh, thanks, guys. You're good. So yeah, after we did that, then basically we ran into some bottlenecks in the engine, which is expected. So we found that we could probably push 730, 40, maybe 50 horsepower at the stock turbos, but we were really getting on the limit now. We were getting on the limit of the turbos, and we were getting on the limit of the way the combustion chamber in the engine is designed. And as I said earlier, the combustion chamber in this engine is designed to report some pretty awesome emissions figures and really good MPG, or litres per 100 kilometres, whatever you guys say in Europe. Here in Ireland, we are metric, but we still use that miles per gallon thing. But yeah, the engines are really designed well. Like I must say that this is not a negative thing that we found. Like the engines were designed to make a horsepower from BMW. We're already way above this horsepower before we run into any problems. So it's not that BMW done a bad job or anything. This engine was designed for around 550 horsepower, and we were nearly 200 above that before we ran into this bottleneck. But by doing a small bit of design work and the incredible cooperation of the engineers in M, they gave us a lot of help to make sure that on our first attempt, we didn't end up with a scrap cylinder head, which you really could have very easily with a situation like this, where you don't know what's inside the cylinder head at all. They made sure that there was, when we wanted to remove material, it was okay to remove it from such a spot without having a big hole appear in your casting, which would be pretty nasty. And then we'd be panicked going, oh, we need another head, and they're really rare. And the guys in BMW M were brilliant. They kept feeding Ellie I used to ask Ellie daily tons of questions, a list every day. Here's the list. You need to go find out this. Luckily, because this is a real partnership, not like just, guys, here's some cars now, take them away and we don't want to see you again. This is a real partnership. The guys literally poured out the data as much as they could to help us. So we were able, within 2 to 3 week period, to probably do the design work that might take 6 months of trial and error. We're really, really lucky. I proposed design. There wasn't a whole lot of problems with it, because during the design phase, we were fed the info. So proposed to design, tiny few changes to it here and there. We bolted it onto our stock bottom end, and I mean stock bottom end. We have not opened this bottom end. It's a brand new engine from BMW. I've seen inside other ones, but I haven't seen inside the bottom end of this engine. We bolted this head on, still stock cams, still stock valves. We started running it. Now, we have changed the turbos, obviously, because we'd run to the limit of the turbos. So we have new turbos on, but we put this new head on, and all of a sudden, things started to happen. So when we were over the 750 horsepower mark, yeah, that was pretty easy. We were sort of getting over the 750 horsepower mark at pretty low boost. Kept turning the knob. Thing didn't make any weird noises. Everything was working. We're starting to run a bit low on fuel pumps, so we upped some pressures. And because it's DI and it's got twin pumps, we were able to play with the phasing of the pumps to get even more flow as much as possible, because we're way, way above the designed output of the DI system. So we have port injection. That was always a thing. We were going to put a small bit of port injection on as well, because it adds cooling through the valve. It adds lubrication to the inlet valve. It adds a lot of advantages that car manufacturers are forced to take away because of emissions. A lot of the reason they don't have port is emissions. So again, we're not restricted by Euro 6. We're not going out to set any records for that, but we are still trying to keep this engine pretty, let's just say, not wasteful in that regard, but efficient. Started adding the port as the DI started to run close to the limit. And yeah, the numbers started to keep going up and up and up and up and up. And then we got to a point where it was, do we go further now and see if it can do it straight away, or do we take it apart and see if anything's about to break? But it's a Sunday morning. I was kind of anxious. We'd reached some pretty good figures Saturday night, and I said, yeah, let's wind it up. So we wound it up to 310 kPa, and
Hold up. 310 kPa.
That's 3.
Yeah, that's 2.1 bar.
Overboost, so absolute 3.1.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay, yeah. Well, see, like, it's like horsepower. You want the big number, don't you? You don't want me to say it's only 2.1 bar, do you?
No.
3.1 bar sounds better. So we rounded up to 3.1 absolute, and we hit it. And I said, I looked at the figures, scratched my head for a while, and I said, could that be right? Could that be right? And then I went, okay, well, I checked all the data for quite a while before I ran it again, because if it was right, we were in the zone of being able to break something very quick if something went wrong. Check the fueling, check the knock logs. Everything was good. Ran it again. It ran exactly the same thing. I did that 5 times before I really confirmed it. So
again, pump fuel, not race fuel in those engines yet. So this might not be the end of it. Not optimum airflow towards the turbos.
Yep.
So again, this might not be the end of it. And just look at this curve. It's just insane.
Yeah.
I have to say, hats off to Robbie, you, Ellie, the whole team working on it.
Yeah.
BMW for
as
making the platform we're working off, which again, Robbie, I think you agree, we haven't seen anything like this in motorsports for quite a while. The JZ was
for quite a while. What I've seen inside the engines from every angle now, and they are a beautifully made engine. If you read the tech spec of this S58, the guys threw out all the parts. They just said this is going to be a proper race-derived engine. We'll design a lot of it. I can't remember, is it 80 or 90% of the engine is designed specifically for this S58. So for people out there think that this is the same as the B58 and the Supra M4 or Z4, it's not. It's totally different. It's completely race-derived, really, engine that meets emission standards. The engineers did a fabulous job keeping their foot in the door for motorsport, as well as keeping their foot in the door to keep the Euro emissions people happy. So, like, it's a massive credit to them. But yeah, the limits of this engine,
we haven't found them yet.
They haven't been found yet.
We haven't found them yet.
But we won't stop here. We will, yeah.
So we promise you guys, this will not be the last time we talk about this. And I don't think it's the last time we talk with Robbie about stuff like this.
Yeah. And I also wanted to not only thank you, Robbie, not only thank BMW, all the engineers that helped out. I also want to say thank you to Vincenzo, Gabriel, Alessandro, Oliviero, because they actually helped us big time, like on a theory base. They wrote down like hundreds and hundreds of equations.
It was very useful. Great bunch of guys, and very, very knowledgeable too, because they do this for a living. It certainly helps, because at every point along the way, when you've got a brand new engine like this, everything is unknown. So you just don't know. Like, you go, is that good? Is it bad? You get a result and you go, am I going in the right direction? Even if it's a good power number, other things might be wrong, temperatures or something. So you're kind of there going, is this really good? Is it really bad? So the guys always able to back us up with the theory base to say, that's in the right direction, that's not, that's good. You know, you can get a bit more here, you can get a bit more there. And it sped up the process massively. Yeah, sped up the process massively. So yeah, thanks guys. You played a blinder in the background. My gut instincts helped. Yeah, sure. An experience. Yeah. But when you don't have experience, the engine, you're always doubting yourself. So they probably took a lot of that self-doubt away.
Took away a lot of the guesswork.
It takes away the guesswork. But that's what got us this far so quickly.
So quickly, and we don't have the time. Time is running. We only have 10 weeks left. Okay, this was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
So there we have it.
8 weeks left.
Make sure you stay tuned. This crazy journey has just gotten a lot crazier, with now those figures being out there and released.
And for the end, I would say we see if Robbie maybe already have some videos of some cool features that make the engine sound really nice. So I don't say more. Thanks for being with us and stay tuned.
Thanks, Robbie. Please.
Thank you.
You're welcome, guys, and thank you for the opportunity to work on a brand new M engine. It's been a pleasure. We haven't finished yet, but so far it's been a pleasure.
Thank you also to your 2 girls and the little puppy. If somebody doesn't know the little puppy, check out Robbie's Instagram, which is TDP.ie, right?
Yeah, but there's another one, there's Irish Wolfhounds Wicklow.
So Irish Wolfhounds Wicklow, check those 2 accounts out. Then you see the little puppy. He's just the best. Thanks so much, Robbie.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Such a pleasure.
Okay, cool,
we'll
guys.
talk soon.
Yep.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
And peace.